You have anything to share on this one? Can you unmute?
Good afternoon. We will go ahead and call the Municipal and Public Safety Facilities Committee meeting to order. With that, Ms. Lisa, I want to thank you for all of the information you provided this group. Some of the history, apparently we've been studying our facilities in depth for quite some time, and there's a lot of history behind it, as well as a great deal of needs that identified. This committee was tasked with coming up with a plan and recommendations for council to meet those needs and to hopefully kind of prioritize our next steps for municipal public safety facilities. With that, I'll turn it over to you. Maybe you can give us a quick backdrop of the information you shared, some historical references, and then basically turn it over. What are the needs? Where do you see the most important priorities? And then we can go from there. And we also have a list of a lot of town-owned facilities by land. That factors into this as well. Thank you, Chiefs, for joining us.
Councilman Fitzgerald. Hopefully you all got the memorandum that I sent out. I know I sort of shot out a bunch of information at you at one time, but hopefully this memo sort of summarized everything for you. If you go back to 2017, the town administrator at the time, Paul Martin, put together a town facility study team. That team consisted of mainly town staff. So I sent that report over to you. Council reviewed the report in 2018, we actually held a workshop to go over that. We also, at that time, had the town's financial advisors kind of speak to the town on the financial liability of such project or projects. During that meeting, council voted to issue RFQ for a company to come in and conduct a townwide assessment. So in 2019, council received this report, and the report actually looked at, I think it was a fire department, police department, municipal facilities, and municipal court. So I think what we're seeing here is we all recognize that we definitely have these needs in all of these areas. And we've had staff study it, we've had a professional organization come in and study it. And I think we're at a point now where it's time for us to formulate some plans moving forward. So these two gentlemen here, I think they put together a comprehensive report that what their needs are. And you'll go first.
I can. Did you gentlemen have a chance to look at the package that she sent forward from the police department? It was attached in an email. It's a pretty comprehensive document.
I looked at it.
I think you sent it. You scanned it.
Okay.
Did you get a chance to see that by chance? Yes. Okay. All right. Basically, the Somerville Police Department is we're very much behind the curve ball with where we are in growth. And the biggest thing we're dealing with right now is the same thing that everybody's dealing with, and that's the growth of the town. And obviously, the types of services we have to be able to continue to provide at the highest level. And, we've grown since 1990. That building that the police department sits in right now was built in 1989. I think it was open in 90. And that building right now, we've grown 250% in our population. I think we were at 22,030 at the time. We're now sitting at about 54, between 52 and 54,000. We think it's closer to 60,000. It's the census. With that, both the police and the fire department, we've had to expand our footprints and provide that service. So what we were looking at is, and I wasn't on the prior committees. I wasn't involved in any of those other discussions. I was privy to it before Chief Rogers retired, and the same study that was provided to you, I was aware of it at the time. The original plan was that some of the police department would need to, they thought the cheapest route would be to build where they are right now and do some things, basically demo the fire department where it is now. But things have changed, I think, since we've grown. Obviously, we're in a collaborative effort between us and the fire department. We work very closely and well together, but we've outgrown our footprint as they have where they are. And in discussions with Administrator Wallace, we feel that cumulatively, the three of us, that moving forward, that obviously the court is a priority to have the court moved from where it is or to expand, whatever that may look like. Then to have the police department be built at an off-site location that's not at 300 West 74th Street, and then allow for the fire department, also at Dempsey, to maintain that footprint at 300 West 74th Street, renovate, expand, and have a very nice facility that's going to be located where it is now. Obviously, you guys are on a back gate and whatnot, but just kind of, I know you're an engineer, sir, Councilman Tusberry. I'm not. But I've done a lot of reading, and I'm not really good with numbers, but I know when I see numbers that are really bad, I recognize them. And these numbers are pretty bad. So basically, we're at a facility that was built 30 years ago that was built for a quarter of the officers that we have right now. So we have 130 police officers that work out of some of the police department. Now, they're not all there at the same time. Obviously, they were different shifts that are assigned to different units, but that doesn't include my 20 dispatchers. That doesn't include my civilian employees. So on any given day, to include our reserve officers, I've got 167 employees that are working out of the building that you're not going to believe this if you didn't see it already, is 14,500 square feet on a good day, 17,000 square feet. So obviously that's not conducive for our organization, but the building is dilapidated in many ways. In 2020, 22 years ago, as I was 12 years ago, they put a $750,000 air conditioning HVAC system in the police department. We have since spent a minimal $26,000 maintaining just the HVAC in that building. And when we were originally discussing putting the building with Chief Owens at the time, they basically said, well, now you've spent $750,000 on air conditioning systems. You pretty much guarantee your building's off the block right now of having something. That was too cheap for the police to get it. And I say that because in the facility we're in, we have hundreds of miles of IT wire running through our ceiling between our police department and our dispatch center and our fire department. That all has to be maintained. But that HVAC system has created condensation because of the heat, the way the building was built. It's an older building. So the heat on the roof causes condensation. Put anything below 70 degrees on any of the thermostats, the water starts to come through our ceiling, down the walls and our floors. It's not unusual to see drip buckets in our hallways. It's not unusual to see we have a wire that's hanging down because we've had to move it out of the way of the water. We have missing ceiling tile, and then I've got tens of thousands of dollars worth of server equipment that literally is the entire integrated network of the police and fire department. Our entire nerve center is in a room that used to be an office, and that water drips right into that office. We actually had we had a good rain, and we had the air conditioner on one time over the summer, and we came in and it was 2 inches of water in the IT room, and it was very scary for us for the wake-up call. So just talking about electrical stuff, I'm going to talk about space. Space we're in right now, we have taken conference rooms and we've made offices out of them. If I need to hold any type of in-house training, which we have to hold training twice a month for our block training for our police officers, we can't. You have to schedule it in such a way that we don't have too many police officers with police departments. We don't have enough parking. I don't have enough space to put them all into the training room. And then at the same time, I've got a pre-academy going on. People need to go to the police academy. If I need to have a department-wide meeting, even half the department, I can't have any of it in our police department. I have to come here, and I'm very grateful to the fire department. A great working relationship with them. They have several training rooms that they allowed us to use. We have meetings in their fire stations quite a bit. But just to be quite frank with you, it's almost embarrassing where we have some dignitaries and VIPs or even other officers from other departments come, and they see a gold standard law enforcement agency and fire department, and then they come to our humble abode and they see what we're working out of, and they make comments about it. We made the best of what we have. We painted our own walls, we put down our own floors numerous times. The police department, the police officers actually come in and clean up and do all these different things all the time, and we're better than that, and this town is better than that. And I'm advocating for public safety and obviously the police department. So some of the information I want to share with you that I think is very important to understand. So in dealing with one of the architects or looking into one of the architects that has built 23 police agencies, municipal police agencies around America, they've come up with a formula. Basically, there's two formulas. One is that for square footage of use, you should have between the highest range, 600 square foot per employee, 607 square foot per employee, with the middle being 133 square foot per employee. So if we were to right now use the low end, we would, with our amount of employees we have, if we went with the 133 square feet, we would need to be in a 52,500 square foot building as we sit today. It's 2022. on a 17,000 square foot building on our best day. The other formula is use square footage per resident. So they're built based on your residential. So you get 1,000 square foot per resident or per thousand. So you have from 52,000 would be, or 54,000 square foot just once again. So when you're building, as you guys know, as you gentlemen know, for the future. So we're building what's going to be here when we're all probably either dead or gone or sitting on the beach like Councilman Jackson is right now, enjoying the sun. We have to build for the future for what this department in this town's in need in 25 or 30 years. So what I
bring up the point too, and when you guys talk and Lisa, have you seen any studies indicating where someone was going to cause growth?
Yes.
The next 5 to 10 years, because that's the part of the way we spoke to. You know, and I agree with you, it's ludicrous. Now, you know, the best police department in the state. And we have not done anything to stay abreast of what we're trying to do.
Yes, sir.
As far as protect the public.
So we do, and basically, without getting into too deep down into it, the FBI or UCR, which is Uniform Crime Reporting, of how many residents per officer we're supposed to have, and that plays into what the Creech and Associates report, which you guys have seen. So right now, with projected growth, now keep in mind, gentlemen, there's a growth coming to this town every day that we never projected. And there's nothing we can do to stop it. And I know we talk about it all the time and we hear it preach about it, but we're not policing 52,000 people. We're not protecting with fire 52,000 people. We're running police and fire calls for everybody that comes and eats and shops and gets gasoline and sleeps in our hotels. They're not our residents. So those people come, they live in Lincolnville, but they come to Walmart, the car gets broken into. That's who I'm servicing. I'm not servicing the residents as much as I am actually people who are coming here from out of town. So much like we had 250,000+ people that just came to this town over the weekend, generating somewhere around $49 million of revenue for the low country. That is the number I want to look at. So the Creech and Associates, they said that within 20 years, now this was 4 years ago, 20 years with projected growth only, the police department was going to have 291 police officers. That's 16 years from now. So 16 years, and you've got to build a building that's going to last for 30 years. So 291 personnel, that is an 82% increase in our personnel from where we are right now. And that's just the police department. And Chief Waring's got to build fire departments to be within a certain range all around this town. And obviously, not just that, but we have probably one of those cutting edge dispatch centers, communication centers in the state, not just in the low country. We're recognized as a PSAP. There's only 7 in the state of South Carolina that are not consolidated dispatch, which means we receive funds, 911 funds, because we answer and call take. And we also dispatch police and fire. So we are very unique. And I say that because when we build this facility, it's going to need to encapsulate our dispatch center as well for police and fire. Consolidated dispatches are a bad idea, in my opinion. And I'm only saying that because it's easy to say, hey, let's go to a county. But this is a very unique situation we sit in, gentlemen, as there's 3 counties in our jurisdiction. So very unique. We can't just go jump in with Berkeley or Charleston or Dorchester. We have our own situations. There's only 3 municipalities in South Carolina. It's us, the city of North Charleston, and we're Shoals. They're the only ones with 3 counties and municipalities. So we have very unique challenges that others do not. So we provide the highest level of communication to our police and firemen with our through our EMS. We're very well with them with what we have. So when we build this, it needs to also encapsulate a communication center. So I say all this because we are, and I firmly believer of this, and I know you are too as well, that we provide the highest level of service that you can actually get public safety. But it comes at a price, and obviously taxpayers don't want to pay the money, nor do I. But if I know that my police officers and firemen are going to have the best that they can have to do their jobs, we have the best technology there is. We have to have a place to house it. And as it sits right now, I need place for evidence. I've run out of evidence space. I've had to put evidence into 2 of our 4 holding cells because we run out of space. We have 21,000 items, which I know you all are well aware of. We also, our uniforms, we don't have a place to put it. We have 3 different locations in the building, so people have to make 3 different stops when they come on or they're turning their stuff in. So obviously, that what I provided to you all in that report is very accurate. It was very well done and compiled. And I'll entertain any questions y'all may have.
Councilman Brown?
No, no problem we have. It's not a question that, too. So if, we start to build this year, that's a whole lot of money. That's a real problem. I think you got almost a situation.
I would agree with that. I think the fire chief would too.
If I could just to add one other angle to what Chief Price is talking about here. One thing that's often gets overlooked a lot is our people. We can provide some of the best service in my opinion because we hire and train the best people. To retain these best people, we've got to make sure we're taking care of them. And part of taking care of that is finding an adequate facility for them. So if we want to keep people and avoid the turnover rate, we've seen our department this recently last year, the last half of last year. We need to do something. Chief Wright laid it out pretty well. That's where we are right now. I really can't add much more to, but he's already added. For us in the fire department, a location, all that thing, take into consideration this location, the location of the station is important. So the response times we have to deliver. So that's part of our ISO certifications. That's just one personal piece to it.
Well, Lisa, is there any monies available to the state?
Potentially, I mean, you know that there is a ton of American Rescue Plan money out there. Unfortunately, I think they're gearing most of that toward infrastructure, roads, drainage, stormwater, those types of things, not so much for buildings. But that's not to say we can't certainly go out and look for it.
I think the legislative delegation can actually problem. What we're doing at Great Police Department. So, when we pay it. So, the American Rescue Plan, a lot of money we got like 70 million this time next year. So
We got about 8 million total. So we got, it's valued in total. Yeah, so we got half. this year.
3.7.
Yeah.
3.7.
So we did, roughly look at some ideas as far as how do we get the money, where do we get the money? And I think that all depends on really how bold we're going to go moving forward. I think what we've done in the past is to just piecemeal, what can we spend that impacts what can we afford in our budget this year? If we were to go out and do something, that really took a comprehensive look at all of our needs, police department, fire department, municipal court, and all of the needs that we have here in Town Hall, I think we're looking at a pretty big price tag, somewhere probably around $30 to $35 million. And truthfully, the only way that we can probably fund something like that long term is to look at the potentially village debt village, meaning that
Once
yes,
paid off, it would go back to the normal village, correct?
exactly. And it would be specifically for public safety facilities. Again, depending on what the overall price tag would be.
Probably $500,000 a year for the next 25 years.
Exactly, yeah. And to generate,
Well, I think we're gonna be-
and I was gonna say, to generate 500,000, we're probably looking about 2 million. And I think that correct me if I'm wrong, didn't we just back up our millage about
We did.
2 mils? So, if that gives you an idea of what it would mean to protect. Excuse me, and once again, I think if the taxpayers know this is for a specific debt or a specific purpose, you know, for facilities or more palatable than, you know, saying raise tax, you know, for our operational expenses. So that's one option, you know.
And I'll expound upon that in my comment.
Yes.
One of the things I've learned in my research with the International Police Association and building police facilities, which is what I have here, this huge document I've been reading and researching. You got to get the community buy-in to have this happen. And I living in this community, well, they love their public safety. They love their public safety, and I think if we get buy-in from the community, they even have input. That's one of the things I've learned is have input in actually helping design or put together some of the ideas of what's going to happen, because we need to have included in our facility is a place for them to be able to come and meet with us and have community meetings with police and the fire department, their civilian academy, whatever, those types of things, that they would be willing to pay an extra $40 or $50 a year or whatever that looks like to have a facility like that would, they know is a direct reflection of the place they live in. And I talk about this a lot as branding. I talk about our brand. I talk about with my officers. When people see the town of Somerville, when they come to our place to eat or shop or wherever, they don't look at the street department trucks and say they've got a great street department. I'm not taking away from the street department, but they see our fire trucks, they see our police cars. That's our brand, our rolling brand of what everybody sees. And it's important to know that the community knows that we are a reflection of what they're seeing moving around out there on the streets. Not if they knew, if I had a public gathering and let them walk through my building and showed them what was going on, I think they would be appalled. And I think you all know that. I'm just telling you, I think that's the kind of stuff that the public would want to know about is where do we get to where we need to be to get this done? And I think they would probably do it.
What is the greatest risk to, so for our firm, engineering firm, one of the greatest risks currently that we're discussing is cybersecurity.
Mm-hmm.
And the ability to prevent threats of that nature. Where do you believe we stand?
We're getting hit every day. The town is getting hit every day. That's why we had to, I believe, Lenny had to bring a second person in to handle cybersecurity. So without getting into another whole bag of beans, we have an entire IT department at the police department that's not connected to what Lenny does here at the town. And every day, their job is to make sure that us and the fire department, they're kind of a separate entity. They fall under the umbrella of the police department, but they have their own, they handle all the networking of all of our computers in the fire stations, all the tablets in the trucks and the police cars, all of our in-car video cameras, anything electric they handle. And so they're constantly getting hit with things, and our firewalls are catching it. But yeah, that is 100%. And I think that the cyber risk going into the future, I mean, every day they're coming up with new types of bugs to come in. And so we have to have that with the best we do right now. But, when we have a piece of equipment that goes down, it costs $15,000. It's hard to explain to somebody who doesn't understand what that does. It's protecting us. If we have a power outage, what that does for us when we go to generate power, or if our 911 goes down, or if people don't know that even we have agreements with Berkeley and Charleston and other agencies up and down the eastern part of South Carolina up to, I think, Myrtle Beach and whatnot, that we're a default. So if their 911 center goes down in Berkeley or Charleston, we can route fire calls and police calls and EMS calls through ours. If ours goes down, we can route it through them. So we do have, I think it blows people's mind if they knew how incredibly technological our agencies are, and it's good. So
facilities wise, obviously, police station sounds like it's the top priorities. fire station would be occupied. The existing space with some outfitted.
Yes,
The location reference was
location is great.
very important.
Yes, yeah. That's why when we're talking about us moving, we can't move far. We can't get too far where we are now. We can go over to 6th Street per se, that doesn't work for us. But now we're infringing on the new district we're trying to create now.
So that solution sounds satisfactory for the needs that we have. The question was funding. The second piece of that is location for the police facility. And we brushed over it, but the court that is here currently in town from communications with the mayor has created a lot of challenges, concerns even related to employee safety, which I think we need to note here that those concerns have been expressed. Tell us where we go from here. Recognizing there's a number one priority, however, there's an existing problem and we need to have a solution for location for that. Plan is for the court. And then, sorry that you have to tag along at the end.
Yeah.
As long as you know
His is going to be very nice once.
Yeah, the strategy.
Well, I think obviously, some of the safety issues that we've seen before, being here at this location. It's just not conducive to all of the other departments that we have and have citizens in and out, building permits, business licenses, and those sort of things interacting when we've got prisoners that are being dragged in and out for court. I think probably one of the bigger issues is just traffic. And we get complaints from the bank constantly. They literally have to stand outside on court day to make sure that people who have to go to court are not going to court. So the best solution that we could come up with is to just move to court out of here temporary. Knowing that a longer term solution would be a permanent building, a permanent facility. But that would address the immediate needs that we have here. And would address the safety concerns that we have.
And what you said is temporary.
Well, we don't necessarily have one identified right now. I mean, we brought one to your attention, I guess it's last month. It doesn't have to be that location, just a temporary location. It's really what we think is the best solution to at least address that immediate need. That would alleviate the concerns we have here at town hall. Now, we don't have any extra space whatsoever, so that would certainly give us some growing room for a long time to come. And then the next step is really begin the process with the public safety facilities. And I think that the main thing is identifying where do we want this public safety or law enforcement center. I think is what we start calling it. Where do we want it to go? We can identify the where, then we can start building from there and saying, okay, what are we going to do? I think we've got the fire department. Sounds like we've got that pretty well squared away. If we can get the police out of there, they can take that structure, they can bring all of their administrative folks back to under one roof.
I believe their training facility, they have a lot of training goes on.
I like a fire marshals, they're all over here, town hall, so that would be about 12 here with all the space. So right now you put two of them that share an office downstairs in the old building. It was GW's old office up here. Then two bunny horses over here are fire marshals. So these are by each bar. Treat him up.
Well, I know. If we don't do it, we can only do all the trying to. We will do whatever it's going to take time. And time is the essence because everything that we need for the time. That we need to come to plan quick, like funding stuff.
Well, I think, and we've talked about this ourselves, but, and I think it's out to you all too, is the Burlington Property. I think is really what we're looking at. Would you agree with
I
that?
do, if I may.
Yeah.
So it's my understanding that back when this former committee was involved, they had an environmental study that completed a core soil sample of the parking ride, we call it, which used to be DOT property at 6 in the Burlington. Currently, that location is, it was given us by DOT, and they came back with, my understanding from Russ Cornett, that it came back clean, that property could be built on. It used to be a landfill, which it's
The C and D land.
yes, sir. Yes. So to me, it's landfill.
Not municipal solid, it's not in this.
Sure. So, but
Where they find what they're saying, the land is very feasible to build.
I was told that, and I think the council, as I was, this one was
So you
saying.
don't have to do a perk test.
So, but that's only on there's 6 acres there, but we have 3.7 acres zoned by us, which is roughly 133,729 square feet. That's not enough to build a complex. It's going to be, it's my understanding that Russ informed the city administrator that it can only be 2 stories tall there. Now, I'm not an engineer. I don't know why that is, but.
Well, I think there's some further testing.
Okay.
Or deeper pilings or whatever.
So, right, so this would need to be probably a multi-story, three stories minimal, maybe 4, and even have parking underneath it, much like you see North Charleston City Hall over there off Mall Drive. They have their entire city hall, but they have the police department on 1 floor, but underneath it, there's parking. There's Sally Port where you can bring people in and out of for interviews or interrogations. But basically, to get the entire 6 acres, we would need, there's a creek that runs along that right of way along the Burlington Parkway. It's all wooded there. And that creek would need to be, we would need to do something with that, maybe have something go over that or fill that in or have some piping put in. And then we would have to have obviously DOT give that to us. And then I don't know the rules or law when it comes to easement or whether they can even give that to us. But that would be an ideal location to build, just because the town doesn't own much property that size that's in the town. And we have some in Lincolnville that you all could probably sell and put money towards it, but that's in Lincolnville. We want to be centrally located. We feel like the town is growing a lot in Oak Brook, obviously towards Knightsville, and you're going to extend the Burlington Parkway. So you don't get on the Burlington 6 or Hagen, a police department, an officer can get it to locations relatively quick through anywhere in the town from that location.
Well, the Burlington Parkway is ideal because if someone is coming from the east or west,
Right. Yes, sir. And you also could entertain the idea, and of course, I don't know where we're going to be 3 or 5 years from now. That's what's probably, if you pull permits and stuff, that's probably where we're going to be. Building maybe a detached courthouse that is not attached to the police department on that property. That way, it'd be much more feasible for people who are coming to the courthouse or the police officers need to bring people over back and forth to our holding facility, that they would be able to do that in a safe manner. I'm just spitballing that idea. But if we own that property and we're able to build up, there will be certainly more room to do that.
Let me clarify one thing. Who says?
Well, Mr. Cornett, or the town engineer, he just said that there would be more testing done, I think, to see if they would need to put pylons down. And you could dig down and put parking underneath the ground. That's very expensive. I understand. But if you put pilings in or whatever, and they just need to test that land and see. That's your.
Well, I was going to say, yes, either deeper foundations or utilize what's there. The deeper the foundation, the more cost, of course. But you're going to need, based on the report summary, like 150 parking spaces for a court. You're going to need 120 parking spaces for police. Just a 4-year facility. That takes up a lot of room. It says 37,000 square feet of facility on top of the parking. I mean, it's a substantial, you're gonna occupy pretty much
You
that
almost
entire.
need a garage, a parking garage.
And the other option is always, and I'm just, again, throwing out ideas, is to buy a piece of commercial property that's here in town that can either be demoed and built on with a bigger square footage of footprint, or even potentially move into that and build on to it. If that needs to be. There's just, we don't have any options, there's not many options in this town for property. Our parcels are very small that the town owns, and they're not even centrally located. That is, just, we feel is the best thing,
Commercial property that you're talking. Big,
minimal.
so, both of one, two things.
So right now, we're sitting on 300 West Second North Street. We're sitting on 3.67 acres right there, if I'm not, it's 3.67 acres, that includes the retention pond. And that's not even big enough.
Right.
If you were to build that whole piece of property, you wouldn't have enough property there.
We're parking on top of each other right now. We get the,
Well, the Berlin Lions Parkway, if we can get the engineering done, I think that's.
And I think that would be the next step if council said, okay, we're liking that location, we want to study that further, then certainly I think that would be our next step. First of all, can we acquire the rest of that residual property from you? What would we be able to do? Can we close up that or pipe that ditch that runs in between the two properties?
I know one of the first piece of property
Obviously, you need to look at the impact as well. Obviously, it sits on the parkway, 180 degrees. But you also have residential street that it pours out to. And that's going to be an impact at the school right there, and it backs up parking every day when people are coming to pick up their children. That is backed up all the way down Magnolia Street. So that's something we're going to consider as well, because I don't know how conducive that's going to be. as
Yeah,
we grow.
that piece of property, across Sixth Avenue, Sixth Street, by span of Illinois Street, that we don't have. That's a ball field.
all right, let's keep going. Right, let's keep going. Yeah.
Yes, we do. We do own that. I know that was discussed a while back. It's small and it's a very peculiar shaped piece of property, but they have the same problem with parking too because of not Rawlins, but someone electric.
Yeah, I know, but is there enough room there anywhere to reroute traffic? Coming to pick up here?
I'm sure an engineer, I don't think so. Not with the growth today, maybe not in 20 years or even 10.
How big is the property?
I don't know, but I was actually thinking about that. I mean, that's an entire city block.
It's a block.
It's 2 blocks from town hall and it's 1 block from the fire department.
The timeline of knowing more about that.
In May, it sounds like Dominion will be willing to go to the Public Service Commission. And at that meeting, but I think in the meantime, what we're going to talk about this next council meeting is, I think they want to know, first of all, is the town possibly acquiring the property? Obviously, they don't want to go through the trouble of going in front of the Public Service Commission, making that request for this exemption if we're really not. So if we get that feedback from council that, yeah, this is something we might want to pursue, then I think we should let the making know and then they can get that. from the Public Service Commission.
This is going back in time, going back to the employee safety concerns. One of the things I don't want to limit our ability to do rapidly is the cost of temporarily placing the court somewhere. That cost for siphons off X million dollars over a period of years as this is developed. Are there other ways to mitigate some of those concerns? Having an additional officer added to your team, but with the specific responsibility of policing court during those hours, the grounds, something like that. That might be cheaper, and you still have the use of that officer. I'm just thinking about mitigating ways we're spending dollars you're going to spend maybe anyway, but in a different way that benefits you better. Maybe.
And I'll let the chief answer that question. I think we already have officers here.
We do, but here's what ends up happening, and I explained it a month ago. We have officers, we do video bonding now. We conduct video bonding, so people are not actually here for the bond hearings. They're actually at another location. But we have to have people here, for example, when they're having bond hearings, because when the judges before live streaming with the prisoner, the inmate, the family may arrive to watch the bond hearing and have that right. But also, if there's a victim of a person's crime or any type of crime, they have the right to attend as well. So there can be some times where it can get pretty heated in those areas in there when you have a victim's family, a suspect's family, both vying for their reasoning. So we do have officers there for that. And we have a couple of part-time officers that are transport officers that probably need to, we need to have full-time officers, but because they were limited on hours. But we do have somebody that's over there every time court is conducted, and then you have the officers who are there as well.
So that's an existing, we're still concerned.
Oh, there's always going to be a concern, yes, sir.
And how many days is court in session? And I know that during COVID, there was a lot more outdoor activity,
Yeah.
whereas
We're still doing the outdoor check-in, and the weather's
favorable.
just for me coming and going down home.
Yeah.
There's a crowd in there. There's all the time they get hallways and hallways and all.
Right, they've been up in line up the Sarah.
And I've noticed
You got to have to squeeze through a few times.
It's certainly
not get people out of the very kind of situation, if we have an emergency. So
it's not conducive unless they were to have that entire building. It's not conducive, and the problem you have if they have the entire building is you still don't have anywhere to park. And we just came back from COVID where there was no court almost really in reality for almost a year and a half, 2 years. So now we're backlogged lots of cases of different types. We have a court for domestic violence cases. We have a court for DUI. We have a court for regular municipal court for officers to make cases. Then we have preliminary hearings, and we have bond hearings. I might even be missing one or two. So we have one officer who is our traffic unit, for example, who writes a lot of tickets, a high ticket writer. They have to have their own court date. So as we grow into the future, what must be considered is this is our caseload now. This is not projected future of officers making more cases and having more people come through the facility. So I think that's something to look at. And I'm fully supportive of Judge Jameson and whatever it is he wants to do. That's not my wheelhouse. He knows better than any of us what he needs. But what I know from the police standpoint is just the more cases we make, the more we're going to have to be here. And the parking garage, it is cute. It is nice to have it there, but it seems that nobody wants to park in it. Except for my police officers, because they're told to.
Before they come from this, I didn't talk about parking problems. I go there. I mean, I park consistently in the parking garage. And it's never full.
Well, sir, I'll tell you something better than that. I'll get off here, but we just had a Flower Town Festival. We had people parked the furthest away I've ever seen. We had nobody in the parking garage.
I park in the parking garage.
it's full.
Well, when I got to work on Friday, there was no park. There was not a single spot in the parking garage. So, and I've come
The
back
parking
from
garage
mine.
holds how many cars?
300. Close to 200, if that, less, but.
Well, that's not a whole lot of, we get a whole.
Well,
We have, we're playing catch up. Because, I've been on council for a long time. And we were trying to make 4% money all these years. And now we're finally realizing, whoa, we need something that, 6%, so that 10.5%. And there's no way you could fund the service we provide. With just, getting 4%.
You 100% correct.
That's our problem. And it's just catching up with us. And, either the public's going to have to face this issue and help us out, or, we're going to have to find somebody to fund the service that they're used to having. They're spoiled because we've got rates. It's doing so much and so little. And so we say, look, we need to raise your rates a little bit, build a police station. I get that. We got a great police department. We got a great fire department, and they don't get it. And they don't see what's going to happen, 10 years from now. Somerville is being crushed because we are very receptive, great, beautiful town, with all the amenities that people want in a town. Great school system, great police department, fire department, great recreation. But they're not paying a whole lot for it. They're not. We've got more people coming to our parks and recreation from the Tri-County area than is coming from Somerville. When we watched the solar farm up there, the dog runs. I just go out there walking in the morning with a cage now. To the building. And it's tough people that say, oh, this is great. That's where you from. Oh, I come over here from Mont's Corner. I come down there from St. George. I'm from Walterboro. And so that's the problem. And so, now we have to act quickly. We can't. Of course, we can't afford to drag our feet. Because if you do a temporary thing and you're spending money, you're spending future money, you're going to need to build something that's going to last 20 years. And people love something.
I was just gonna say, with me and my team, our command staff, we came together. The Berlin G, I was saying, 3.7 acres is ours right now. There's 6, it's 6, but right now there's 325 square foot per parking spot. So you could park 203 cars there right now if you were to build up. You had a footprint to build up. It would have to be higher than some sorts. I mean, obviously you can't build buildings too high in this town for many purposes, but you're an engineer, you know better than I do. Would have
I
to
think you would have more of a height restriction.
it's got to be the side, yeah, the skyline. I agree with that. But
Well, let me ask you this question. We have a need of 6%. Commercial revenue, we just put it there. Farm track. Is that currently under, I know it's part of the TIF, but from a development standpoint, is there any more wiggle room for us to carve out a section of property for the town in there? Or is that ship safe? That's a large,
Yeah, we did.
What are we talking about?
the barn track, which is kind of across from,
State Armory.
Yes.
The Armory.
Oh, from the
yeah,
left.
Common Armor.
Oh, okay.
On 78, it's still on,
Good time too.
correct.
Yeah, but
Which
I
that's
agree.
robbing Peter to pay
Yeah,
Paul,
yeah.
but theoretically, it's still something that may have additional property.
Yeah.
And
Well, the time to talk about that would have been
What?
when we did the development.
I figured that's done. I thought the ship had sailed.
That's not to say it's always amended the development agreement, but, yeah,
That's really interesting.
yeah.
Anything on the parkway like that, here, you're 78 or Gag, or even where you're gonna be down by Carolina, anything.
It's certainly exploring, sure. And actually, I've got a call into Milton anyway, because we're trying to get a status update on what they're doing out there, for a bond call.
They could see that as an advantage
I was just saying.
to have the facility on site. tenant.
Of course, we wouldn't need to collect the TIF revenues from that property,
Great
but,
location.
but,
You may generate some by
Yeah.
creating foot traffic
yeah.
and sense of security.
And I was, I think,
Funded, funded, I think that's what we're talking about. When this first established one, Jesus, tip, one plus, and even on the dimension property as well. So if something.
Unfortunately, your facility, the Dominion facility, neither one of those
They're
are in
not.
the district. But that, if it was on that property.
that's 58 acres of residence.
So
It's that, it's 58 acres of.
Then, I mean, the Dominion property, you think about highest and best use of these properties. That is an exceptional revenue generator for some developer to come in, a commercial mixed use right there. We could benefit from a great deal of revenue from there.
It's actually
We
57.89.
bought it, we bought it. And we used 2 acres of, it, so the other 2 acres before that. It's pretty good money
Well, here's also too,
for development.
and I know this is way far away, but it would be something that would be attractable because this facility is gonna look, it's gonna be red brick. It's gonna look like everything else we have here. It's gonna have a small town feel, but very, very modern. And well lit. It's gonna be a nice place that people are gonna look at. And,
If we can take it up, we talk.
but I would wanna, I feel safe. If I lived in an apartment complex, there are all those apartments over there, and there are the shops and whatnot. I mean, I don't know if it could be done, but it would be a good place.
I don't think we can, other than historic district, we can, one level, I don't think this kind of roads, we gotta be able to just, build one story town. I think we got to start. Like I'm on the advocate for hotel coming here, 3 stories or whatever, I think it's gonna be a big thing. We've got to start thinking. We think it's a town. We gotta think that's a town.
Or we're titled town.
Yeah.
So we're a major metropolitan city by size in South Carolina.
You
And we
know,
might be the top 4 fastest growing.
I mean, if you look at Mount Pleasant, one of the things that got them in decline, they flipping areas every 4 years, was they didn't realize what they had. And they didn't know how to use it. And it caught up.
Well, if you remember, they built the police department. Then they built another police department next door to it that was much bigger. And 5 years later, they tore that police department down and just built their 3rd police department on the same footprint because they didn't plan for all the growth of their agency in their town.
Well, they weren't prepared.
For 10 years, it's probably 10 years.
They weren't prepared for it. They didn't realize what was happening. If you go to Mount Pleasant right now, you don't see a city. You see a sprawl. No. You say, well, do we want to be like that?
I think, Councilman Jackson, we haven't heard from you. If you have any input, let me know. But I was thinking that we're nearing the 5 o'clock hour. Of course, this can go on ad infinitum. We have more needs than we have money, and we have more time than we have solutions. So what I think will get us moving forward is you've expressed the need to move the court system out. If you don't mind, maybe we can have another committee meeting ahead of committee meetings next week. And we could explore some of those temporary solutions for court. Whatever those are.
Mr. Jackson said he has no questions. Good, great info.
For us, as council members, we need to be thinking about what we would be prepared to recommend at our budget retreat. It's probably the appropriate time. Start thinking of what we would be prepared from a recommendation standpoint. What other solutions to these permanent challenges that we haven't thought of. And then maybe in budgeting, as Councilman Brown pointed out, we really need to have a strategic vision of where we want to go with the town from, whether that's strategic annexation of commercial properties, industrial, whether that's encouraging our economic development or prioritizing that in certain areas. Whatever that is, we need to know where we're going in a solid direction. Because part of the reason we are where we are today, I believe, is because our vision changes with seasons, and therefore staff doesn't have the opportunity. We have a master plan here that laid out a lot of great information in 2019, and this is the
Whole world.
we just picked it back up, but you're right, the whole world's changed. So,
Well,
we do need to do something swiftly, but we need to be heading in a unified direction.
I also thought I had two got a lot of smart people in this town, in council members,
Nothing could be far the fence.
I mean, this is a big deal we got here on our hands. I think we might bring in some of these guys, smart people around here, sign, build, French. It's their future too, and they care about this stuff. I mean, I don't mind.
Well, I really like, the orange bag idea, if you were
6
saying-
months ago.
I
6 months ago.
know.
Fantastic.
I know,
I was just
right?
looking at large areas of land. That's yet to be developed, and it's right on 78 and Burley Myers.
Well,
Quick access in any direction.
Forgive me, but Doug said something when he started talking. He said architectural firm, something like that.
Not us particularly. Oh, you're talking about the going underground?
Yeah.
That was Russ Cornett.
But, you know, we have got a real big project here about hands for future staff. I mean, isn't there people out there that just go and consult? Okay.
sure.
They,
Oh,
we're gonna have to. They develop these options.
The one we built did like that.
Yeah.
That's good.
Preach.
Now, you know, we've got 19 was like a long time ago. Now here, you've got, a lot of issues here. We got something town different from being a small town. Things that's coming at us. Some of the things we're gonna have to deal with in the future, like, I thought about this, this, we don't have, we're 50,000 town. That's something that needs to be coordinated. We gotta start doing things, stuff we didn't have to do before. You work the background. Anyway. Great. But the people that helped us gave us the ideas back in 2019, they got paid back then. So, can't get them to give you pro bono.
Well, I think they did what we paid them to do. They did what we paid them to do. So we've got this report now. And really, I think what we're faced with is, okay, this is basically laying out what our needs are. So it's now time to decide, okay, do we want to do this as a whole package? Do we want to, pick and choose parts of this package, which I hope we're going to go that way. But, and I think really just identifying a location or the locations for these facilities. Then you definitely bring in your architectural design services.
Yeah.
Once we've decided where, I think then we would be prepared to get those other professionals.
There's nothing else for the good of the group. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Way, I will second it. Vote with clicks off of the mic.
Okay, hold on.